Shalom, 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 Yasha'Allah. All praise to Yahweh B'Shem Mashiach Yahushai. Hope everybody is blessed in the spirit of Yahweh and Yahushai. Shalom. Haven't been live in a little minute, but the word continues on. All praise to Yahweh and Yahushai. So tonight, real quick, Israel. I like to be a man of my word. I did a commentary on Tuesday about doing a live lesson for the makeup Passover last night. So I do apologize due to a conflict in scheduling. I wasn't able to go live last night. But I wanted to do a live lesson for those that might not have kept the Passover in the first month. And just to give y'all a little understanding of, letting you know you can, according to the law, you can make the Passover up in the second month. So I'm one night late, Salaki. I do apologize. We're very busy with this work. We got family, personal issues going on, business, stuff we have to do. Things come up that's out of your control. That's part of the curses in his kingdom. So I wasn't able to go live last night. So I do apologize to the brothers and sisters that was looking forward to it last night. If you did not keep the Passover this year in the first month, Monday, April 3rd, 2023 at even. So if you didn't, you were supposed to start last night, May 3rd, 2023 at even. So any of y'all that didn't, just do the best you can. Hopefully you started last night, but if you didn't, do the best you can. Try not to eat the leaven for the next 6 days now, or just pray to the Most High and just try to, make it up next year. All right? Or you can still try to do what's left of it, what's salvageable. Everything is a rehearsal of the righteous acts in the Most High Yahushua. So we're just going to go over a few points in scriptures here, nothing too long and crazy. And just mainly for those that don't understand that the Passover is such a great feast day and high feast day on the Hebrew calendar that the Most High allowed us another month. If we missed it in the first month, he allowed us another month to come and make it up. All right, B'Shem Mashiach Yahushai. So, we're going to just get into it a little bit, the law, and just show you, brothers and sisters, if you weren't able this year, you can do better next year. All right? All praise to Yahweh and Yahushai. So, short, quick lesson through the spirit of the Most High, Mashiach Yahushai. All right? Shalaki about the background. I'm in a public place that I'm renting out. So, I'm just doing a live here. All right? But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So we're going to start out with the law on the Passover. We're going to get right into it. Exodus chapter 12. All right. Just real quick. Exodus chapter 12. And we're not going to read the whole chapter like we did on the Passover. If y'all can go back. All right. If y'all haven't seen it, y'all can go back to H.O.I. Mustard Seed. Also, Set Apart Network. Well, you can go to Set Apart Network and watch the entire Passover ceremony. It's a 6-hour video, over 6-hour video. You can watch the entire opening of the Passover video for 2023 on Set Apart Network. All right, so you'll get on that and you'll get edified about the deeper understanding of the law of the Passover. All right, so Exodus 12:1, and this is going to segue to the law where you can make the Passover up in the second month. Exodus chapter 12, verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe and Aharon in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. So now on Monday, March 19th at even, that's when our new year started. A happy belated new year, brothers and sisters. Ashar Kadash Shana. All right, happy belated new year. And in that first month, on the 14th day at even, which brings in the 15th day, begins the Lord's Passover. So that's the first month for us. It's known as the month Abib. When you look it up, Abib means late March, early April. All right. It tell you it comes around on late March, early April. So this is our New Year's season. All right. We're still within the second month. We just had the new moon second month on, I believe, April 18th or 19th. It was also on April 19th. We had the new moon second month. So we're still in the New Year season. By verse 3, speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month, ye shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. Right? All the camp leaders. Brother Daniel TOTG, you see, you coming on here with bullshit already, brother. That's not what we're talking about, brother. And I don't like to be like that, brother, but you coming on here with bullshit. We're talking about the make-up Passover, the law. Why are you coming on here talking about how much Nathaniel from IUIC makes? And you don't know that, brother. That's just an article that put out. I'm not saying I'm not in the brother's pocket, but you don't know if he makes 150 million a year. That's just an article. But why are you mentioning that here, brother? That's stuff that ignorant ass people do. No disrespect, brother, but we're not talking about that. Why are you talking about the camp leaders and how much they make? Why are you in another man's pocket when we're talking about the law of the make-up Passover, brother? What's wrong with you? Something is wrong with y'all. Now, back to my regular scheduled programming. Brother, get off my live if you're going to come on here with bullshit. All right, come on, brother. Some of you grown-ass men don't have nothing better to do with yourselves. Get off my live, brother. I don't want to block you or delete you off here, but get off my live if you coming up here with gossip and BS, brother. We dealing with the Lord's law. That's the problem with the nation right now. You clown-ass brothers that got too much time on your hand and don't know how to be serious when you need to be serious. Stop pocket watching another man, brother. Salakia, y'all, I apologize about that. But I get tired of grown-ass black, Latino, and Native American men because Israelites don't conduct themselves like that. A lot of y'all are 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, and you act like a bunch of damn immature idiots, man. We're not talking about that, brother. So get off my live if all you want to talk about is damn, yeah, once a man, twice a child, like the rapper Nas said, second childhood. Get off my live, brother, if you coming with confusion. I'm not even damn 5 minutes into the live, and you coming with gossip and confusion. And we're talking about something serious here, the Lord's Passover, the make-up Passover, brother. So get off my live, brother, if you can't come correct. Now, back to our regular scheduled programming. Now, Exodus 12:3, speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month, ye shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. All right? Yeah, brother, we trying to get edified on a make-up Passover, and you coming with BS, brother. Grow up. When are you brothers going to grow up? Now, back to our regular schedule programming. So a lot of y'all saw we did a video, me, Chief Ephraim, Brother Shemaiah. Shout out to Chief Ephraim and Shemaiah, H.O.I, New York and Georgia. Well, we went to the slaughterhouse live, you know, and we slaughtered the lamb. We just want to show Israel. You know, a lot of y'all scoffed about that. You know, you scoffed about that. All right. And we were just showing Israel. We're trying to go back to the law as traditionally as we can. We want to start eventually raising our own lambs for the Passover and slaughtering our own lambs, but we don't have to go to the heathen and these other nations. All right. Well, we keeping it within ourselves. With, you know, we keeping the money and everything. We making sure the animals are raised correctly. We making sure they don't have spot or blemish. So that's the next level we trying to take it to. Because then, you know, they price gouge. You know, I'm a Jew in every sense of the word. I'm like, damn, you know what I'm saying? It's not really the money, but it's like the inflation now, everything. I remember I would pay $200, $225, $250 at the most for a nice big lamb that could feed a nice amount of people. Now the lambs are $600, whatever. And, you know, the Most High blessed, so is the money's not really the issue. It's just the damn inflation. And I'm a Jew in every sense of the word. If I could save a penny, I'm going to save it. Whether it's my money or anybody's. So I'm just bringing a little humor because some of y'all might have saw when we was going to slaughter the lamb in New York. But Most High willing, next year and moving forward, we want to try to have it set up. When you know better, you do better, and you work on things, you progress. So hopefully we can raise the lambs and the goats on our own and slaughter our own. Verse 4, and if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. every man according to his eating shall make your account for the lamb. So that's what we do. When we go to the slaughterhouse, we say, well, that lamb is such and such a size. I think that lamb could fit, I think that could feed 60 people. All right, we thinking we're going to have about 200 people this year. So, you know what, let's get 4 of those lambs to be on the safe side. That's how you do it. You get enough. So even that first Passover in our houses in Egypt, you got a lamb that could feed your family. And if you have more leftover extra, then you share it with the household next to you. All right, that's saving money and being frugal in a way. All right, so no father, that's neither here nor there. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You should take it out from the sheep or from the goats. You can either get the sheep or the goat. More popularly is the lamb, which is the sheep, you know what I'm saying? But you can also get the goat. All right, this year at the Passover, we had lamb and goat meat. We had both. All right, verse 6. And ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole congregation of Israel shall kill it in the even. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the 2 side posts and on the upper doorposts of the houses wherein they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire, and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. So, most of y'all that understand the Passover, you should know the lamb, but also the bitter herbs, which is the horseradish root. We usually cut it up into blocks and we eat them because it's very bitter. And you got different type of so-called bitter herbs out there. But in my experience, the horseradish is the most bitter. And when you read in the history, it tells you the bitter herb is the horseradish because that's like the most bitter of the herbs, right? And I know there's other bitters out there, but that's one of the most bitter. And that's the one that's most popular. And when you read in the history, that's the one that we use for the Passover. Unleavened bread, of course, is bread without yeast. And the reason why I'm bringing out all this, because all this you're supposed to do again in the second makeup Passover, which would have been last night at even, Salakia, but due to a conflict, I couldn't go live. But I still want to give y'all a lesson within the second Passover season. All right? Everybody understand me? Give me a con 777. Salakia. Well, it was last night, Elder. You off by a day. I know, but things came up that was out of my control, so I couldn't go live last night. I did the Passover already last month, the first month. I'm just doing this for brothers and sisters that might have missed, or maybe you're new to the truth and you need understanding on how to do the Passover, or next year if you happen to miss it, Lord forbid, you know how to make it up. You know you can make it up in the second month. All right, the second month, 14th day at even, going into the 15th day. Same thing, all right? Reading on, it says, eat not of it raw. All right, and none of our meat we supposed to eat raw. We supposed to cook our meat well done. And that's how most blacks and Hispanics like their meat. Esau like his meat raw and red and bloody. It says, nor sodden at all with water, meaning don't boil it or roast it with water, but roast with fire, like what they call a rotisserie. That's why most brothers are built like a homemade pit in their backyard or the back of their school or on their land or wherever. Or they'll get a grill, or they'll just get a homemade rotisserie. You're supposed to roast the lamb directly on fire. And when all else fails, you just roast it on the grill, because that's, that's direct with fire too. His head with his legs and with the purtenance thereof, roast the whole lamb, all right? And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remaineth until the morning ye shall burn with fire. And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. Ye shall eat it in haste. It is Yahweh's Passover, because we were fleeing out of the land of Egypt. So the first Passover, we had to eat it in haste. Like now we usually bring out, you can maybe take your time a little bit more. You don't want to choke or nothing in Israel, but because when we flee out of Babylon, we're going to be caught up on the chariots. All right, for I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am Yahweh. When it says the gods of Egypt, meaning the princes and leaders, there was no respect of persons. In every household in Egypt, their firstborn was dead. The most I didn't care if you was a prince or a man of stature, down to the lowest level servant of the Egyptians. It was no respect of persons. The judgment came on the entire Egyptian population. That's what it's talking about. And hence, that's when you get the name of the feast day, because the death angel, which was H.O.I, passed over the houses of Israel and only killed the firstborn in the Egyptian houses. All right. So I just read, y'all can read the rest of the Exodus 12. We went over it on the beginning of the Passover. We read the whole chapter. We broke it down. Y'all can go back and watch the videos. All right. But I just want to read the first 12 verses to show you the same ordinance of the Passover, the first month, 14th day at even, which is the 15th day, is the same thing for the second month. And we're gonna show you that in a minute. Next scripture we're gonna go to is Leviticus 23. We're gonna go to Leviticus 23, verses 4 through 8. And this is basic understanding for y'all concerning the Passover and the makeup Passover. That's all it is. All right. Leviticus 23, verses 4 through 8. These are the feasts of Yahweh, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. And the 14th day of the first month at even is Yahweh's Passover. So on the 14th day of the first month, which the 14th day at even brings in the 15th day. It actually means the closing of the 14th day, going into the 15th day. But the Most High wanted us, by the time the sun went down, he wanted us to be within the Passover mode already. All right, that's why a lot of times it's said like that, because he wants you, as the 14th day is closing out, he wants you already in the spirit of that Passover. He don't want you lingering and, oh, the sun is going down, but I'm still doing, no. That's why he says stress, as the closing of that previous day, going into the next day, already be prepared to go into the spirit of the Passover or any feast day, all right, or any Shabbat or whatever. All right, it says, and on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto Yahweh. Now, this is where it gets tricky with a lot of brothers and sisters and even Amalek scholars. A lot of people think that this means that the Passover is the first night and then it's the feast of unleavened bread. But no, the Passover is actually the first day of the feast of unleavened bread. The Passover feast of unleavened bread is actually only 7 days. It's not 8 days. A lot of people interpret this to mean that the Passover is the first day. Then after that, you do 7 days of unleavened bread, making an 8-day feast. No, the Passover is a 7-day feast. We're going to read it. It's going to say it right here. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. Now, according to Exodus 12, when you go to Exodus 12 and 8 on down, when it gives us the list of the Seder meal, what do you eat on the first night of the Passover with your lamb? You eat it with bitter herbs and unleavened bread. So the night of the Passover that you're eating a lamb, that is actually the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So it's a 7-day feast. It's not an 8-day feast. All right. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. And the first day shall be in holy convocation. That's what we celebrated on Monday, April 3rd at even in New York and some of our other countries and states with H.O.I for brothers and sisters that couldn't make it. But for future reference and for those that wanted to make it up, you were supposed to start last night sundown would have been your first day of unleavened bread where you had a holy convocation. Most would have to do it in their home because most of the gatherings was on the opening of the Passover, was on the first month, Salakia. It says, in the first day ye shall have an holy convocation, ye shall do no servile work therein, meaning no work for hire. The only work that can be done is work concerning the feast and the Passover. Verse 8, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh 7 days. And the 7th day is an holy convocation, ye shall do no servile work therein. So if it was an 8-day feast, like Tabernacles or Hanukkah, it would have said in the 8th day you shall have a holy convocation. So Passover is a 7-day feast. But for those Israelites, camps, congregations, organizations that see it at 8 days, knock yourself out. We're not here to condemn anybody. Go according to the understanding you have of the scriptures, and the Most High will we'll all see through that glass like Yahweh said when he returned. All right, now, let's go to the law. Let's go to Numbers chapter 9, verses 1 through 14. Numbers chapter 9, verses 1 through 14. But I can say for the most part, I was pretty well pleased. I have to be a little bit biased and privy. I was pleased with H.O.I because most of all of our brothers and sisters, they made it for the first month of the Passover. Nobody really had to make it up. But I just want to do this for those that may not, new brothers and sisters coming in. Maybe you want to try to keep it to the best of your ability, and you didn't know or you didn't understand, or maybe you came in but you didn't understand in time, so you had a whole nother month to try to do it, which it would have begun last night. But like I said, I just want to still go live, to edify everyone. So Numbers 9:1. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe in the wilderness of Sinai, in the first month of the second year after they were come out of the land of Egypt, saying. Now this is a cut. Well, not really a cut, but a cut. This is a cut, but a hill. This is a cut, but also a hill, right, on those that say we can't keep the Passover outside of Jerusalem. That's not scripturally correct. If that was the case, and I understand it was a progression of the Passover, and you might say without a certain point, the Most High said we have to keep it in Jerusalem. But if we can only keep it in Jerusalem, and that was the law, wouldn't it make sense that the Most High would have set it up? I'm not saying what the Most High should have did, but we're just using a little logic here. Wouldn't it make sense that the Most High would have had the first Passover in Jerusalem? Now, some of y'all might say, well, that wouldn't make sense because the Passover is about us being delivered out of Egypt. But guess what? The Most High could have delivered us out of Egypt, brought us into Jerusalem, and said, still remember your deliverance from Egypt. The Most High could do what he want to do. So obviously it would make more sense, and this is just me, and what I teach and trickle down to the body of H.O.I. It would make more sense that the Most High said that we can have the Passover throughout all our generations and all our dwellings. It tells you that in Exodus 12, and that's exactly what it meant. At a certain time, he said, yes, have it in Jerusalem. But as time went on, we went into captivity. We got scattered into different lands. The Lord said when we come back to our true identity and nationality, to keep the Passover throughout our dwellings and all our generations. So a lot of you bruise that every year is like clockwork. Every year, y'all coming on our posts, y'all coming on our lives, you can't keep the Passover outside of the walls of Jerusalem. Well, how come the first 41 Passovers was kept out of the walls of Jerusalem? We reading it right here. We in the wilderness of Sinai here. Jeremiah, please say the Yah. Kwame Yashala. Shalom, King. My brothers in the building, Shalom. We're in the wilderness of Sinai here. We're not in Jerusalem yet. So it would just make more sense. This is just my humble opinion, all right? And I'm not, I don't try to be proud and I know more than everybody, whatever. But in my humble opinion, the way I understand it, the Most High could have easily waited till we got in Jerusalem and said, now keep the remembrance of coming out of Egypt. But he did it as we was coming out of Egypt and then as we wandered through the wilderness. This is the second year of us coming out of Egypt and we're wandering in the wilderness of Sinai. We're not in Jerusalem yet. All right, so get understanding. But those that don't want to keep the Passover because you're not in Jerusalem, knock yourself out. Or go to Israel every year and keep the Passover. Or more power to you. All right. Verse 2, Exodus, Numbers 9:2. Now, this is the law. This is the law, Israel. This is the whole gist of what I'm bringing out here. This is the law that the Passover is such an important feast day that the Lord allow us to make it up in the second month if you missed it in the first month, which it would have started yesterday sundown, May 3rd at even. So you go 7 days without eating in 11 until next Wednesday, May 10th at even. That's when you can go back to eating 11. For those that might want to keep it during this time, or you started last night, this is just for some edification, because like I said, Salaki, I wasn't able to go live last night. Verse 2, Numbers 9:2. Let the children of Yasha'Allah also keep the Passover at his appointed season. In the 14th day of this month, at even, ye shall keep it in his appointed season, according to all the rites of it, and according to all the ceremonies thereof, shall ye keep it. So the Most High said, look, just like when y'all came out of Egypt, and I gave y'all the Passover, keep it the same way here in the wilderness. So he's telling them here, keep it as it is written in the first month, 14th day. But now check out what's going to happen. Right? Exodus 9:5. And they kept the Passover on the 14th day of the first month at even, in the wilderness of Sinai. According to all that Yahweh commanded Moses, so did the children of Israel. So what did they do? They were obedient and they kept the Passover in the first month. They were obedient. They said, just like when we came out of Egypt, we're going to do it again. Right? Verse 6. And there were certain men who were defiled by the dead body of a man, that they could not keep the Passover on that day. And they came before Moses and Aaron, before Moses and before Aaron on that day. Right? So now, when you get understanding, it's speaking about, the way I understand this is, and I'm not leaning on my own understanding, but what makes sense is, when you look at this, it's saying these particular men were unclean because of a dead body. It's just giving you one example. But what if you're unclean for many other things? What if you're unclean for different things? Your woman, whatever the case may be. Those still apply, meaning whatever kept you from keeping the Passover in the first month, uncleanness, a journey, a sickness, whatever. This is just one example of men that said, wait a minute, we were defiled by a dead body. We was around a dead body. We're unclean for 7 days. We can't do the Passover. All right, this is just one example, but it transcends into any example or any reason why you were ceremonially unclean to keep the Passover the first month. If everybody understand, give me a con 777. And that's not adding to the scriptures. It's just giving one example of uncleanness. Obviously, if you was unclean, you couldn't keep a feast day. All right. So if everybody follow me, give me a con 777. I don't want nobody to get simple. Oh, elder, adding to the scriptures. All right. No, but it's just certain things is common sense. With all I get understanding. Verse 7. Oh, those men said unto him, we are defiled by the dead body of a man. Wherefore are we kept back, that we may not offer an offering unto Yahweh in his appointed season among the children of Israel? Why should we have to miss out on the Passover? That's what it's saying. And Moses said unto them, stand still, and I will hear what Yahweh will command concerning you. So Moses said, look, I don't want to lean on my own understanding. I'm going to see what the Lord got to say about this. And he said, and Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if any man of you or of your posterity shall be unclean by reason of a dead body. Now, here's where it's going to give a little bit more understanding. Or be in a journey afar off, yet he shall keep the Passover unto Yahweh. So basically, if he's unclean, if he's on a journey, whatever the case may be, whatever the situation might be that kept him from keeping the Passover in the first month. Verse 11, the 14th day of the second month at even, they shall keep it. So this year, that would have been last night at even. So for those that was doing the makeup Passover, you should have started last night at even. All right. And eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs, the same thing you did in the first month. They shall leave none of it until the morning, nor break any bone of it, same thing. According to all the ordinances of the Passover, they shall keep it. But the man that is clean and is not in a journey and forbeareth to keep the Passover, even the same soul shall be cut off from among his people. Meaning, if you don't have no excuse, you're not unclean, something's not hindering you, you should be keeping the Passover. That's why Paul said in 1 Corinthians 5, therefore let us keep the feast. We're supposed to keep it. So right here, the scripture is telling you, you don't have no legitimate excuse or an uncleanness or whatever. You're supposed to keep the Passover. There's no excuse. You're not supposed to just say, I'm not keeping it. All right? Because he brought not the offering of Yahweh in his appointed season, that man shall bear his sin. And if a stranger shall sojourn among you and will keep the Passover unto Yahweh, according to the ordinance of the Passover and according to the manner thereof, so shall he do. That stranger is a foreign Israelite. All right? That's what it's talking about. All right? Ye shall have one ordinance both for the stranger and for him that is born in the land. Meaning if it's an Israelite that you don't know, right? The law still applies. If he wasn't born in the land, or he's from another land, the law still applies to him also. That's what it's talking about. It's not talking about a heathen, because Exodus 12 breaks down the difference between a heathen stranger and an Israelite stranger, right? Just like Gentiles. You have actual Gentiles then you have Israelites in a Gentile state of mind. This stranger is talking about a foreign Israelite, one that wasn't particularly born in a land, or he's not from your land, or you may not know him, but he's still an Israelite. All right, Khan? All right, so that's the law, Israel. Numbers 9, 1 through 14 tells us that we can make the Passover up in the second month of the year, 14th day at even, which would be bringing in the 15th day, which is the same as the first month. You're just making it up. That's how important the Passover is to the Most High. All right, so if everybody understand, give me a con 777. It's not hard to understand. All right, I just wanted to come on here and edify, to give y'all a heads up on, you know, we got to take this serious also. In going forward, in the future, if you're, for whatever reason, Lord forbid, if you miss the Passover in the first month in any of the years going forward, hopefully it's not too many damn years. We be getting out of here soon. Yahweh Shah be coming with them chariots soon. Shalom, sister. Greetings. All right. Shalom, daughter. So, y'all know for the future, hey, what's the date? You know, every year we always announce the date of the make-up Passover for brothers, and we always try to do a live or something for those that are going to make it up and keep it in their home. All right. So let's give you some examples of how the Most High allows us and acknowledges us making up feast days, even though it might not be at that exact appointed time that he gave us. Let me get like 2 examples. This is 2 Maccabees 1:1. The brethren, the Jews that be at Jerusalem and in the land of Judea, wish unto the brethren, the Jews that are throughout Egypt, health and peace. So these were Israelites in Jerusalem writing to Israelites that was in Egypt. Because at the time we were in captivity under the Greeks and some remnants of the Romans. All right. Verse 2. Yahweh be gracious unto you and remember his covenant that he made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, his faithful servants. See, the Most High didn't make the covenant with all nations. He made it with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's 12 sons, which are the Israelites. The Bible is clear on who the Lord is dealing with. All right. It says, and give you all in heart to serve him and do his will with a good courage and a willing mind, and open your hearts in his law and commandments and send you peace, and hear your prayers and be at one with you and never forsake you in time of trouble. And now we be here praying for you. What time as Demetrius reigned in the 169th year, we the Jews wrote unto you in the extremity of trouble that came upon us in those years, because they was under Greek captivity. All right. And they were catching hell. It said the extremity of trouble. Right. Aren't we in extreme trouble now? Under the modern day Greeks and Romans, the so-called white man here in America and throughout the world. Right. The scriptures tell you in the last days there shall be perilous times. All right. It's getting crazy. The black man is getting choked on the subway in New York by a racist so-called white man. Eric Gardner all over again. Rodney King all over again. That chokehold that the LAPD was doing back in the 70s and 80s all over again. So we are in extreme trouble under the rulership of our enemy, just like our forefathers was under the Greeks. Same thing. They choking black men to death in public. Nobody's doing nothing about it. All right. A modern day lynching on the subways of New York City. All right. And nothing's done about it. Just choked the brother to death just because he was erratic and homeless and probably needed some mental health and some resources to get his mind right. But the so-called racist white man says, hey, I considered the Negro a threat. I had to choke him till the life went out of him. All right. This is what we're under as a people right now. All right. Reading on. From the time that Jason and his company revolted from the Holy Land and the kingdom, you had a sellout Israelite by the name of Jason that rebelled against the priestly setup and went and tried to fight with the Romans against their own people. A sellout. All right, y'all can write down 1 Maccabees 11:21, I believe it is. Let me see. It says, ungodly men that hated their own people. All right, 1 Maccabees 11:21 with 2 Maccabees 1:7. Jason all right, was a sellout Hebrew that was privy to the Greeks being in power so he can get position under the Greeks. Like a lot of our people now, they uphold this system so the white man, you know, knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. So the white man could throw them a bone and get them a little position in America. You know, they go up under him like a puppy. And they go along with his program, all right? Verse 8, and burned the porch and shed innocent blood. Then we prayed unto Yahweh and were heard. We offered also sacrifices and fine flour and lighted the lamps and set forth the loaves. And now see that ye keep the Feast of Tabernacles in the month Caslu. Now the month Caslu is the 9th month. But the Feast of Tabernacles is supposed to be kept in the 7th month. Why was he telling them that? Because they couldn't properly keep it in the 7th month. So he said, make it up in the 9th month. All right. In the 184th year, the people that were at Jerusalem and in Judea and the council and Judas sent greetings and help unto Aristobulus, King Ptolemaeus' master, who was of the stock of the anointed priests, and to the Jews that were in Egypt. So that proves Israel was scattered in Egypt. And we were writing to our brother. We wasn't writing to everybody. That's racist right there. That's discrimination. But that's being for your own people. All right. That's nationhood. All right. For your own people. So I'm going to jump down to verse 18. Therefore, whereas we are now purposed to keep the purification of the temple upon the 25th day of the month Caslu, we thought it necessary to certify you thereof, that ye may also keep it as the Feast of Tabernacles, and of the fire which was given us when Nehemiah offered sacrifice after he had builded the temple and the altar. So they said we're going to keep the dedication of the altar, just like the Feast of Tabernacles and Nehemiah's feast, for 8 days. And also, let's go to 2 Maccabees 10 and 1 through 9. All right, 10, 1 through 9. All right. It says, now Maccabeus and his company, the Lord guiding them, recovered the temple and the city. But the altars which the brethren had built in the open street, and also the chapels they pulled down, and having cleansed the temple, they made another altar, and striking stones, they took fire out of them, and offered a sacrifice after 2 years, and set forth incense and lights and showbread. When that was done, they fell flat down and besought Yahweh that they might come no more into such troubles. But if they sinned any more against him, he himself would chasten them with mercy, and they might not be delivered unto the blasphemous and barbarous nation. So 2 Maccabees, the 10th chapter, verses 1 through 9, it's a summary of the entire story from the Greek Inquisition that led up to the Hanukkah, or the Feast of Dedication, or the rededication of the temple. It's a summary. These 9 verses is like a summary of the first 4 chapters we read in 1 Maccabees. All right, reading on. Now, upon the same day that the strangers profaned the temple, on the very same day it was cleansed again, even the 25th of the same month, which is Caslu, because we always bring it every year. And when you read the story, the same day that the heathen profaned the temple, on the 9th month, 25th day, the Lord had it where a couple of years later, we cleansed the temple on the 9th month, 25th day, and made the Feast of Dedication. The Most High made mockery of the heathen. The day they defiled it is the day he allowed us to cleanse it and make a feast day out of it. All right. Verse 6, and they kept 8 days with gladness, as in the Feast of Tabernacles, remembering that not long afore they had held the Feast of Tabernacles, when as they wandered in the mountains and dens like beasts. So you link this up with 2 Maccabees, the 1st chapter, like they was writing to the Jews in Egypt. So it's showing you, all right, either they couldn't keep the feast at all, or they couldn't properly keep the Feast of Tabernacles. So they made it up and incorporated it with the Feast of Dedication, or the Hanukkah. Meaning, we don't always have to. No, well, let me read verse 7. I don't want to jump the gun. Therefore, they bear branches and fair boughs and palm trees, just like we do during the Feast of Tabernacles. remember when you read Leviticus 23, 33 to 44, it tells you how we gathered the branches for the Feast of Tabernacles. They did this on a Hanukkah. So not necessarily that we have to do this every Hanukkah, but they did this at this time because they either couldn't keep or couldn't properly keep the Feast of Tabernacles when they wandered in the dens in the mountains, just like the brothers in Egypt. All right, it doesn't really specify per se, but it's basically either they couldn't keep it at all or they couldn't. They did the best they could, but they couldn't properly keep it, so they made it up and incorporated it with the Feast of Dedication or the Hanukkah. Everybody understand? Give me a con 777. And the point being, the Most High allows us, even though it's not a law, to say make up the Feast of Tabernacles during dedication, but it's just showing you different times in history where we made up feasts in other months just to show our zeal towards the Most High. But for the Passover, we have an actual law where we can make up the Passover in the second month. If everybody understand me, give me a con 777 if y'all with me. All right? So basically, our forefathers still had that zeal to make up feast days, not make up their own feast day, but, you know, make it up when they couldn't properly keep it. So the Most High gave us the Passover, and he gave us a law where we can actually. Now, if you say, well, let's say Day of Atonement, for example. Oh, man, I missed the Day of Atonement. You know what? Next month, on the 10th day, I'm going to just do a fast to the Most High to make up for the atonement. I don't see no sin in that. It's not like you're adding a feast day. It's not like you're making up. You're just showing the Most High in my zeal. I want to do something to make up for that feast day that I missed. Or something to make up for that Day of Atonement, that fast I missed. I say the Day of Atonement because that's like one of the most important times of the year where we're asking for forgiveness of our sins. Hypothetically speaking. Now, what you should do is get a calendar, November, December of whatever year closing out, and make sure you keep up with all the feast days so you can keep them. But if you happen to miss one and you just want to say, hey, I just want to do this to make it up, there's nothing wrong with that, all right? The Most High is not going to condemn you for that. You're not adding to the calendar and rearranging a feast day. You're just showing zeal like our forefathers did here. All right, by Shema Mashiach Yahushua. If everybody understand, let me know. Give me a con 777. All right, I only see one from Shabbat Yisrael. I guess the rest of y'all don't understand. Not Salakia. But anyway, verse 7 again. 2 Maccabees 10 and 7. Therefore they bear branches and fair boughs and palms also, and sang psalms unto him that had given them good success in cleansing his place. They ordained also by a common statute and decree that every year those days should be kept of the whole nation of the Jews. So this is when Hanukkah was ordained as a feast day. All right. Around 163, circa 163 BC. All right. And this was the end of Antiochus called Epiphanes, because Antiochus Epiphanes, he was the main oppressor of Israel at that time. All right. So just 2 Maccabees chapter 1, verses 1 through 10, and then verse 18. And then 2 Maccabees chapter 10, verses 1 through 9 shows you that they either couldn't keep or couldn't keep the Feast of Tabernacles properly, so they made it up along with the Feast of Dedication, which is the Hanukkah. Right? So just like the Most High gave us an exact law to make up the Passover, there were times in our history where our people made up feast days to the Most High in another month, another time, just to show that zeal. All right, just to show the Most High, look, we're making that effort. All right, that's the point. All right, so let's go from there. We're just going to get a couple of more, just a short lesson. And everybody just try to do better next year. When the Passover comes up, try to get the calendar early and keep the actual date. But if all else fails, we'll announce the makeup date next year. I'm just doing this video to give you some understanding of you can make the Passover up. According to the law, Numbers 9, 1 through 14. Let's go to 2 Chronicles, the 30th chapter. Now we're going to get another quick example. There's a lot of meat in this chapter, but I'm going to just get to some of the main points. But there's a lot of good, you can teach an entire lesson off this chapter alone. There's so much meat up in here. But I'm going to get to the main point of what I'm bringing this out for, right? Zeal when we fall short on keeping the feast days of the Most High. examples, all right? So 2 Chronicles 30:1. And Hezekiah sent to all Israel and Judah and wrote letters also to Ephraim and Manasseh that they should come to the house of Yahweh at Jerusalem to keep the Passover unto the Lord power of Israel. So this was Hezekiah. Remember, there was only a few righteous kings. I tell you in the Apocrypha, there was only about 3 righteous kings of the southern kingdom in Judah, Hezekiah being one of them. So by this time, the northern kingdom had already split and had already went off right on their own. But there was remnants of the northern kingdom. There was remnants of the northern kingdom that was still serving the Most High Yahweh, even after about 200 years after the kingdom split, after the death of Solomon, under Jeroboam and Rehoboam. There was still remnants of the northern kingdom. And that's a point I'll get deeper into another time. That's not the point I'm making, but just keep that in mind. There were remnants of the northern kingdom still coming up to Jerusalem, serving the Most High. All right, even after the split of the 2 kingdoms. All right, for verse 2, for the king had taken counsel and his princes and all the congregation of Jerusalem to keep the Passover in the 2nd month. So now, under King Hezekiah, they are establishing and they're following that law of keeping the Passover in the 2nd month because they could not properly keep it in the 1st month. For they could not, verse 3, 2 Chronicles 30:3, for they could not keep it at that time because the priests had not sanctified themselves sufficiently. Neither had the people gathered themselves together to Jerusalem. So again, it wasn't necessarily a dead body. It's just the priests hadn't cleansed themselves. They hadn't prepared and cleansed themselves ceremonially, and the people hadn't gathered to Jerusalem. So whatever hinders you from keeping the first Passover, you got to make it up in the 2nd month. You don't do it in the 1st month for whatever reason, you got to make it up in the 2nd month. This is the ordinance of the Most High. This is the law of the Most High. Verse 4, and the thing pleased the king and all the congregation. So they established a decree to make proclamation throughout all Israel, from Beersheba even to Dan, that they should come to keep the Passover unto Yahweh, power of Israel, at Jerusalem. For they had not done it of a long time in such sort as it was written. So the post went with the letters from the king and his princes throughout all Israel and Judah, according to the commandment of the king, saying, Ye children of Yashar'Allah, turn again unto Yahweh, power of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, and he will return to the remnant of you that are escaped out of the hand of the king of Assyria. So Hezekiah was uniting the kingdoms, the remnant. We know the bulk of the northern kingdom has split and they have been carried into Assyrian captivity. But the remnant, Hezekiah was still bringing them together with the southern kingdom. All right, verse 7. And be not like your fathers and like your brethren, which trespass against Yahweh thy power of thy fathers, who therefore gave them up to desolation, as ye see. Now be ye not stiff-necked as your fathers were, but yield yourselves unto Yahweh and enter into his sanctuary, which ye have sanctified forever, and serve Yahweh your power, that the fierceness of his wrath, Salakia, of his wrath may turn away from you. For if ye turn again unto Yahweh, your brethren and your children shall find compassion before them that led them captives, so that they shall come again into this land. For Yahweh your power is gracious and merciful, and will not turn away his face from you if ye return unto him. Verse 10, 2 Chronicles 30:10. So the post passed from city to city through the country of Ephraim and Manasseh, even unto Zebulun. But they laughed him to scorn and mocked them. Nevertheless, divers of Asher and Manasseh and of Zebulun humbled themselves and came to Jerusalem. So while some of them were still proud and mocked, there was remnants of the northern kingdom that humbled themselves and still came to Jerusalem. All right. Also in Judah, the hand of Yahweh was to give them one heart to do the commandment of the king and of the princes by the word of Yahweh. And there assembled at Jerusalem much people to keep the feast of unleavened bread in the 2nd month, a very great congregation. Numbers 9, 1 through 14. And they arose and took away the altars that were in Jerusalem, and all the altars for incense took they away, and cast them into the brook of Kidron, because the land was defiled. They were sacrificing unto other gods. Then they killed the Passover on the 14th day of the second month. And the priests and the Levites were ashamed and sanctified themselves and brought in the burnt offerings into the house of Yahweh. And they stood in their place after their manner, according to the law of Moses, the man of Yahweh. The priests sprinkled the blood which they received of the hand of the Levites. For there were many, this is verse 17, 2 Chronicles 30 and 17. For there were many in the congregation that were not sanctified. Therefore the Levites had the charge of the killing of the Passovers for everyone that was not clean, to sanctify them unto Yahweh. So many in the congregation weren't properly cleansed. They were not properly sanctified. So they said, let the Levites do all the sacrificing of the lambs. For a multitude of the people, even many of Ephraim and Manasseh, Issachar and Zebulun, had not cleansed themselves. Yet did they eat the Passover otherwise than it was written. But Hezekiah prayed for them, saying, the good Lord power Yahweh pardon every one of them. So now, does this particularly mean that we just let all kinds of unclean people come into Passover? No. But there were times where in Israel's zeal and depending on the circumstances, the Most High showed mercy on them and allowed to make feast days up and do feast days, even though they were not even properly sanctified. So the point being, the Passover is so important, the Most High give us a second month to make it up. Because you have examples of other things that was going on in the nation, and the Lord allowed us to make feast days up or even do feast days, even though things weren't properly cleansed. All right, so you got to show that zeal to still serve the Most High. Verse 19. That prepareth his heart to seek Yahweh. So like the good Lord power pardon everyone that prepareth his heart to seek Yahweh, the Lord power of his fathers, though he be not cleansed according to the purification of the sanctuary. Verse 20, 2 Chronicles 30 and 20. And Yahweh hearkened to Hezekiah and healed the people. The Lord said, you know what? I'm going to take away their uncleanness, because Hezekiah is a righteous king, and he prayed over them. Remember, James, the 5th chapter tells you, the effectual prayer of a righteous man availeth much. So because of Hezekiah's righteousness, the Lord overlooked the uncleannesses of the people and allowed them to keep the Passover. All right. And the children of Israel that were present at Jerusalem kept the feast of unleavened bread 7 days with great gladness. And the Levites and the priests praised the Lord day by day, singing with loud instruments unto Yahweh. And Hezekiah spake comfortably unto all the Levites that taught the good knowledge of the Lord. And they did eat throughout the feast 7 days, offering peace offerings and making confession to Yahweh of their fathers. And the whole assembly took counsel to keep other 7 days, and they kept other 7 days with gladness. So they kept a 14-day Passover because they was just in a zeal and turned up. So just showing you, this is just 2 examples, by the way, showing you alternative examples when Israel kept the feast in their zeal, and they did it in other months besides what they were, or they added days just in their zeal to the Most High. That don't mean we necessarily have to do that, but if you're trying to serve the Most High and you're doing it in the right spirit, he would acknowledge it. If everybody understand, give me a con 777. It says, for Hezekiah, king of Judah, did give to the congregation 1,000 bullocks and 7,000 sheep. The princes gave to the congregation 1,000 bullocks and 10,000 sheep, and a great number of priests sanctified themselves. So they said, yo, let's continue this party. Let's eat, drink, and be merry. Let's do another 7 days of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. 14 days. And all the congregation of Salakia, and all the congregation of Judah with the priests and the Levites, and all the congregation that came out of Israel, and the strangers that came out of the land of Israel that dwelt in Judah rejoiced. The strangers meaning what? The northern kingdom. Some of them came up. Hezekiah said, look, all the remnant of you brothers that's still in the spirit and want to serve the Most High. There was a remnant left in the northern kingdom that still want to serve the Most High. Some mocked and got proud, but some humbled themselves and said, look, we still one nation. We remember when the kingdom was united under David. All right. It says, so there was great joy in Jerusalem. For since the time of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, there was not the like in Jerusalem. Then the priests, the Levites, arose and blessed the people, and their voice was heard, and their prayer came up to his holy dwelling place, even unto heaven. So the Most High heard their prayers. So these are just alternative times that we kept the feast to the Most High, and he acknowledged them. So once again, the Passover is such a high, holy, sacred day to the Most High. He allows us to make it up. There's an actual law. All right. And when our people do things like this, like 2 Chronicles, the 30th chapter, it becomes lawful for that time. Like I said, don't necessarily mean every feast day or every Passover, we just got to let a whole bunch of unclean people in. No. But in certain circumstances, and when we showed that zeal for the law, the Most High gave us mercy and acknowledged us making up feasts and doing feasts unto him because of our zeal, even though we weren't properly cleansed or it wasn't at the appointed time that he gave us. By Hashem HaMashiach Yahushua. So everybody understand? It's just zeal. All right, and showing you, you know, how you can make up feasts and different examples in the scriptures of the Most High allowing us and acknowledging feasts even though they might have not have been at the exact appointed time. All right, or we weren't properly cleansed. All right, so a couple more, then we're going to wind it down. We're just getting to the point. Let's go to Luke 22:1 to show you that the Passover is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. All right, they're one and the same. It's a 7-day feast. That's why in 2 Chronicles 30, it said Hezekiah kept 7 days and another 7 days. Why didn't it say 8 days and 7 days? Because the Passover is not an 8-day feast. It's not the Passover, then the Feast of Unleavened Bread. The first night, the Passover, is the first night of Feast of Unleavened Bread. And guess what? The whole 7 days can be called, still be called a Passover / Feast of Unleavened Bread. Let's prove that. Luke 22:1. Now the Feast of Unleavened Bread drew nigh, which is called the Passover. So the Passover is not 8 days. Otherwise, in 2 Chronicles 30, like I said, it would have said Hezekiah kept 8 days and then another 8 days. It said, no, they kept 7 days of the Passover, then another 7 days. They doubled it up, 14 days. So the Passover is not 8 days. And that's not to argue, go back and forth. I'm right. No, it's just, we're just bringing out the understanding through me as the elder and H.O.I's understanding. All right. Because some brothers say it's 8 days, but we see it differently. All right. And don't condemn us because of the way we see it. But certain scriptures is clear. It's crystal clear. It's cut and dry. But I'm not really here I'm not really in the spirit of debating. I'm right and you, but I will bring out what we see in the spirit to be right. All right. So, Acts 12, Acts chapter 12 and, 1-4. Now, about that time, Herod the king stretched forth his hand to vex certain of the people of the church. And he killed James, the brother of John, with the sword. And because he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter. Also, then were the days of unleavened bread. All right. Now, Luke 22:1, we just read the unleavened bread is the Passover. So now these were when the disciples were being killed and persecuted and martyred for the gospel's sake. Verse 4. And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him. Meaning 16 soldiers. A quaternion is a set of 4 Roman soldiers at the time. All right. Intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. And biblical scholars tell you that Easter is a misprint. It's supposed to say Passover. Because the days of unleavened bread is Passover. Now, it might have been Easter for the Romans. Because remember, a lot of times Easter and Passover fall around the same time. And the Romans had already been under the ancient Babylonian and Egyptian philosophies of the goddess of fertility. That's where Easter came from. But right here, they tell you it's a misprint. It's supposed to say Passover. All right, which is the days of unleavened bread. All right, one more, 1 Corinthians 5 and 7. All right, 1 Corinthians 5 and 7, and I'll close with that. So like I said, Israel, I just want to keep my word. Even though officially the makeup Passover would have started last night at sundown, but due to a conflict in scheduling, I couldn't go live last night. So I just want to still bring forth the edification to y'all, so you can understand what the makeup Passover is all about. We're still in the season within the week. All right, so if all else fails next year, you got to understand of what you're supposed to do and how it's supposed to go. And we'll have the date for you for the makeup Passover for next year, 2024. 1 Corinthians 5 and 7. Purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump. So anybody that's keeping the Passover as of last night, you should have been purging out the leaven since the new year. Once the new year came in March 19th, and if you missed the Passover on the first month, or hell, you had extra time to purge out the leaven. You had a whole extra month. Remember, we did a PPP fast. No folly for we did a pre-Passover purge. Pre-Passover purge out the leaven fast. PPP, pre-Passover purge. Now you can do another PPP fast. Post-Passover purge. It don't stop. You continue to get the leaven out even as the Passover is over. Well, for some of y'all that's making it up this month, you got the next 7 days to eat unleavened bread. You're in the, but after that, do a fast. All right, do a post-Passover purge. You still purging out that leaven. Because Israel, we got a lot going on in our nation. There's a lot of jealousy, competition, evil. All right, a lot of y'all are envious of other brothers and sisters and what they bring to the table, the spirit the Most High gave them. A lot of y'all are in constant competition with each other. A lot of y'all be murmuring, backbiting. We know what goes on. The Most High know what goes on. So you still, just because we had the Passover and you purged the leaven, continue to purge the leaven after the Passover. Hell, do another PPP fast, a post-Passover purge fast. Purge out the leaven fast. No folly. PPP fast. Not a PPP loan, but a PPP fast. Right? That ye may be a new lump, even as ye are unleavened. For even Yahushua, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. So this is serious. All right. And technically we're still in Passover season because Passover is allowed to be made up in the second month. So we're still in it spiritually with those that might be making it up this month. Even though you might have did it last month. It's not really over until next Wednesday at even. So Passover is really like a 2-month season. All right, you should be in the spirit that whole time with your brothers and sisters that wasn't able to do it on the opening, still be in the spirit with them on the closing. All right, it says, verse 8, therefore let us keep the feast, not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness. See, you're not supposed to walk up in the Passover or keep the Passover and you still got malice in you. Right, you still got wickedness in you. You still hate your brother or sister without a cause. You still want to be the man or woman for the nation. Everything is about you. No. This is a group effort. This is a nation effort. Let everybody do their part in the body. You do your part in the body and everybody feed off each other. We all do our part. Right? You bring something to the table. Hey, I'm the type of leader. Bring it to the table. God, I need some help. Just do it in order though. All right, do everything decently and in order. Don't try to take nothing over and move brothers out the way because you got a lot of that going on in Israel. That's why we have a lot of splits. There's constantly splits in Israel because everybody's on a power trip. Why he got to be the elder? I can do this my way. He ain't doing it right. I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. We got to get rid of that spirit. Why them 6 brothers got to be in charge? Them 7 brothers got to be in charge. What about me? And if you're a brother or sister that got good work ethic in Israel, you're going to be in charge of a lot of things. There's plenty of work. Because good leaders they're going to always have something you can do. And you can do something to help out the body. But you ain't got to try to be the man or the woman. Stay in order. Every time I talk to other camp leaders, and from coast to coast, young camps, older camps, the veteran camps that come out of One West, I talk to, hey, but you know, brother, catch up with, hey, brother, how you doing, man? Talk to you in a while. What's going on? How the camp doing? How the body doing? Oh, man, we had to deal with these 7 brothers. Oh, man, you know, these 2 brothers, man, their wives got in their ear. Oh, man, you know, we had to deal with these 4 sisters. They thought they was just going to take over the sisters. Right? You got to get rid of that malice and wickedness. Everybody got a part to play back to yours. Like Jay-Z said on I Love the Dough. Not to quote a carnal song for something spiritual, but y'all know what I mean. No folly. So get rid of the malice and wickedness. Learn how to get along with each other. We laboring together around each other. Learn to get along. And even if you ain't going to be the best of friends, at least be cordial with one another. Get rid of the malice and wickedness. Everybody. That's what the scriptures say. Neglect not the gift that is in you. And y'all read, all y'all brothers and sisters, for homework, read 1 Corinthians, the 12th chapter. The Most High tell you now concerning spiritual gifts. Everybody got their spiritual gifts. You don't have to be envious or jealous or competing or whatever with another man or a woman. Play your part and the Spirit going to elevate you. Just be willing to help. Just be willing to help. Even in 1 Corinthians, the 12th chapter, it even tells you about helps. Just be willing to help and do your part. And if you want to lead, you want to run, eventually the Spirit going to elevate you. You're going to have plenty of stuff to lead. Because like I said, good leaders going to delegate stuff to you like, yo, go take care of that. Take over that. Hey, brother, open up the service or, you know, open up this, hold this feast day down while we gone. We're going to be traveling, brother. You know, hold it down. Hey, sister, you know, organizing sisters, you know, get them together. Hey, brother, man, make sure the younger men are all right. Make sure the younger men, they in order in camp. You're going to, stuff going to be delegated. You're going to, if you need to feel like you in power or you in control or you in charge of something, that's going to come. Because you're going to start having work delegated to you. Especially as things grow, you're going to start having work delegated to you. That's the number one thing I talk to camps about. It's always some kind of coup. Everybody want to be the HNIC, the head Negro or Negress in charge. Yeah, man, we had to put these 5 brothers out. What happened, brother? Oh, their wives were sowing discord in the body, gossiping among sisters, and this brothers wasn't checking their wife. I could tell y'all the stories, but I ain't going to put nobody dirt out there. And I talk to a lot of camps and a lot of leaders and elders. Not to toot my own horn, but that's the underlying problem I'm always hearing. Up, brother, but we kept it moving, man. We got rid of the 11, and we doing the work. The body's good. All across the board. I don't care how perfect you think your camp is. It's happening in yours too. Big or small. So let's get all that out. My point being, purge out the leaven. And as we get the spiritual leaven out of ourselves, get the leaven out of the congregations that you're in. Because it causes discord amongst the body. All right, verse 8 again. Therefore, let us keep the feast, not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice or wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. Just like the leaven, the yeast, causes the regular bread to rise, get rid of the pride, the arrogance, the malice, the wickedness, the evil, the envy, the jealousy, the competition. I want to be right. Get rid of that out of your spirit because that causes you to swell up with pride. That puffs you up with pride. So get rid of that leaven and keep the feast with sincerity and truth. By Shema Mashiach Yahushai. So, basic, 1, 2, 3, right to the point for y'all, Israel. Everything should have been brought out where you can understand it. Go back over them scriptures. That's just understanding the makeup / second Passover 101. I ain't put that in the title, but 101. All right. Understanding the makeup Passover. All right. So anyone that's keeping the Passover, making it up this month, H.O.I Pesach, thank the Most High. Like I said, I'm being biased. I can only be privy to my congregation. For the most part, most of H.O.I kept it in the first month. Everybody was on point. Not too many brothers and sisters missed it. But for the rest of y'all out there that weren't able to keep it and keeping it now, H.O.I Pesach, happy Passover, second month. And for the future, for next year moving forward, hopefully we don't have too many more Passovers in this damn captivity. But, you know, you got some understanding. You can refer to this video. We'll rip it. We'll put it on our different YouTube pages, and you'll have it as a basic reference video for you for the years to come. But hopefully everybody will be keeping the Passover in a timely manner in the first month. You'll have the calendar, whatever, so you won't really have to make it up in the second month. But somebody gonna need this, okay? So any questions or comments before I close out? Most of y'all I see on here, most of y'all kept the opening. I mean, the first month. I keep saying the opening. The first month of the Passover. Most of y'all kept it. And like I said, technically it was last night. But, you know, I wasn't able to go live. So I still want to keep my word and bring y'all some edification on the makeup second Passover. So, and this is just general knowledge y'all can have. Just, you know, just to know, according to the scriptures. So any questions or comments? If not, I'll make a few announcements. What's coming up? The next feast day will be Sunday, May 14th. Sunday, May 14th at even, the day of Simon Maccabees. Second month, 23rd day. We apologize. On the H.O.I flyer, there is a misprint, and we just caught it. We do apologize. It says Thursday on the flyer, but it's actually Sunday. And I'm hoping y'all can put two and two together, because Thursday, May 18th, is the new moon third month. So the 14th and the 18th can't be on the same day of the week. So we hoping y'all would have enough knowledge and understanding to know that it's actually Sunday, May 14th at even, the day of Simon Maccabees. All right. And we'll go over that and I'll give y'all edification on that. All right. First Maccabees, the 13th chapter. All right. Next, Thursday, May 18th at even. Thursday, May 18th at even is the new moon third month. May is a busy month. May is, we got the makeup Passover starting last night. Day of Simon Maccabees, May 14th. New moon third month. And then Feast of First Fruits is Saturday, May 27th at even, so-called Memorial Day weekend. Saturday, May 27th at even. All right. Whatever city you in, contact us so you can congregate with H.O.I in that city, or the nearest city. We'll send you to the nearest city too. You might have to take a drive or hop on a plane. But hey, you know, it's summer, it's spring and summer. Y'all do it for y'all vacation, so do it for the Lord and his feast days. You know, y'all gonna be smiling all spring and summer. I don't care how much inflation it is. Y'all gonna be smiling all spring and summer. Oh, we here. I'm here. Look where we at. So smile for the Most High his feast day. Sacrifice. Spend that little bit of money. Hell, if you gotta put a vacation to the side to travel to keep the feast day is more important. All right. It's just a holy day. It's a holy day vacation. All right. What else is coming up? After the Feast of First Fruits, the new moons throughout the summer, June, July, and August. Then you have the Holy Day month, the 7th month, Atonement, Tabernacles, and Trumpets. All right, that's in the 7th month. That's all in September. I'll get all the dates. I think Tabernacles start September 28th. So get ready for that. You know, right after First Fruits, you may want to start preparing for Tabernacles, because the only thing else coming up is new moons throughout June, July, and August. So you give you a good 3 months to prepare for Tabernacles wherever you're going to go camping at. All right, whatever state you're in. All right, we usually have 3 main areas. We have Georgia, Philly, and Cali. But as of last year, New York is they also gather. Those are about the 4 main areas in the country that H.O.I gathers. So if you're on the West Coast, California is usually the smaller one. If you're in the South, Georgia is usually our biggest one, in Atlanta. If you're in the Northeast, Philly, and now New York. All right. But maybe this year New York might link with Philly or whatever the case may be. We'll keep y'all posted. But that's the 4 main parts of the country. The other H.O.I camps and cities, they congregate too. The ones that can't make it, they camp in their cities too. But those are like the 4 main areas where we all try to come together. All right. So that's about it. We got the H.O.I annual cookout coming up in New York in August, next to last Sunday of August. We'll announce that. We'll have flyers coming out for that. We got a few more events and pull-ups and different things, but we don't want to say anything until they develop. And some of the like H.O.I Illinois, for example, they got their cookout coming up in June. They got their first annual cookout coming up in I think June 11th. I believe it's on I think the second Sunday of June. So you got local H.O.I states that got stuff going on too. So keep out, everything. We'll post about everything. So that's about it, Israel. For further information, inbox me here on Facebook. Inbox DM me here. Or email me, houseofisraelnyc@gmail.com. houseofisraelnyc@gmail.com. For donations and support, we can use your donations and support. You can donate at Cash App, $Shaquall 777. S as in Sam, H as in hat, A as in apple, Q as in quality, A as in apple, L as in Larry, 777 on Cash App. Make sure you put what you want your donation to go towards, because we like the people to use your money you're giving, right? So we like, if you like whatever you like this specifically used for, put a little note, tithes, offerings, alms, whatever, or feast day, whatever the case may be. All right. Also PayPal, inac747@yahoo.com. The email on PayPal is inac, I as in instinct, N as in Nancy, A as in apple, K as in karate, 747@yahoo.com. I'll put them in the comment board. I'll put the email and the 2 donation links in the comments. Also, give a little note on PayPal what you would like your donation used for. The support is greatly needed, Israel, for us to continue to do this work, for us to move around, do what we need to do. Everything in this kingdom costs money. If not, or else fails, always give the moral support and always send up prayers. That's the greatest thing you can do. All right, but the other support is great too. By Shema Mashiach Yahushai. No folly. But if you can't do that, send up some prayers. And guess what? Come and help do what you can. Give your body as a living sacrifice. Hey, I don't have much, brothers and sisters, but what can I do? Can I fold a table? Can I help set up some chairs? Can I help clean up afterwards? That's service also. Sometimes that's worth more than a donation, giving of yourself. Helping with what needs to be helped. We need bodies. We need people to help put in this work. You young brothers, we can use y'all out there in the camps. We put our life on the line. We use sisters. We can use y'all to back us up, to help us with feast days and doing women's works and strengthening the sisterhood. A lot of times the sisters feel left out because they don't have no sisterhood. Women are catty. They jealous. They envious. They worried about if a woman coming in or her husband, my husband want another wife. You worried about the wrong thing. We need to build a sisterhood also. So that's all needed. Romans 12:1-2. Present your body as a living sacrifice. Everything else is good too, don't get me wrong. But your service is needed also. Israel, you're the most valuable asset to people. All right, so I ain't gonna ramble on. All right, that's about it. I'm gonna close out. H.O.I to the chariots fly. Priest Zabach, all praise to Yahweh and Yahweh Shai forever and ever. Amen. Kwame Ashala, we still got next. Hallelujah. Ashar Pasak, happy Passover 2nd month. Happy Passover season. Purge out the old leaven. Remember, do another PPP fast. A post-Passover purge out the leaven fast. And have a good year, Israel. Have a beautiful year, a blessed year. And we know better. Let's move forward and do better. By Shema Mashiach Yahushai. Once again, Ashar Pasak, happy Passover 2nd month 2023 by Shema Mashiach Yahushai. Ahab a thumb. Love y'all, Israel. Shalom. Come. Kwam Yashala. Ashar Pasak. Wa Ashar Kadashana. Happy Passover, second month. Happy New Year, Israel. Shalom.